So let's start with a historical perspective on public relations. In 1984, Gruning and Hunt identified 4 models of public relations: press agentry, public information, two-way asymmetrical, and two-way symmetrical. Let's go and talk about each of them. Press agentry. This model of public relations existed or was practiced in 19th century mostly, or the beginning of the 20th century as well. It is characterized by propaganda, by persuasion, by manipulation. Really, there was a one-way communication. They wanted to influence audiences to behave in the way organization desires. Truth was not essential. Public relations, well, I don't want to call them public relations practitioners, but okay, public relations practitioners lied that time. So they came up with all kind of pseudo events. They just wanted attention from the media. That was their goal, to receive that attention. There was no much research done, very little. The maximum they could do, they could count clips. And the key figure was Burnham. And he's a very interesting guy. He's the showman. He was a showman. He came up with all kind of crazy ideas, so people would write about it, so media would write about it. He was the manager of a circus. He was the owner of a circus. And he one time came up with a story that he found a slave, a black slave. She was very old, who was a nanny of a Lincoln president. And he said she was 161 years old. And people started writing about it. Okay, she looked very old, and it seemed to be true at first, but then they found out it was not the truth. So they started talking about it. Everyone was talking about it. It was interesting, and he was the first one to coin the term as there is no such thing as bad publicity. Really, if people even talk bad about you, it's still good because you receive attention. So that was Burnham. Another case of his, he also came up with the idea. He married a dwarf and an opera singer, and there was also a big hoax about it because, again, it was a pseudo event. It wasn't an event per se, it wasn't truth. He came up with this just to receive the media's attention. The next era is era of public information. It takes place in the beginning of the 20th century. It is also a one-way communication. It uses press releases to inform public about what is happening in the organization, what happened in some sort of accident. Truth is essential over here. Again, there's little research about what publics are doing. They could do how much attention we received. They could do readability to check if the text they're writing is readable. It's easy to read. And the key figure in that era is Ivy Lee. Ivy Lee was a journalist at first, but then he became a counselor for John Rockefeller. And he is considered to be the father of the public relations ethics, because he was the first one to say that, okay, we have to tell the truth. We have to tell the truth, we have to build a reputation, and we have to tell the publics they have the right to know what is happening. For example, one time there was an accident at the railway station, and instead of hiding it, instead of positioning it in a good way, he just said, okay, let's tell the truth. That there was an accident and there were people harmed, and this is what we did. And he was also able to change the perception of Rockefeller as a bad guy, as a capitalist, to the good guy who is responsible for the society. Because Ivy Lee said, okay, you have lots of money, let's give it to charity and let's talk about it. Because you do good things, so let's just let people know that you actually do good things. We talked about one-way communication theories, right? Press agentry and public information. Now let's talk about two-way communication. Models. Two-way asymmetrical and two-way symmetrical. Two-way asymmetrical, middle of the 20th century. It uses persuasion and other manipulation techniques to influence audiences. It has imbalanced effects. What's happening is that research is done, but it is done to influence audience. The organization itself doesn't change. They want to persuade audiences to do the things the organization wants to do. And the key figure was over there Edward Bernays. He is actually also considered of public's a father of public relations. He was the first one to establish public relations course in New York, and he wrote the book Crystallizing Public Opinion. And by the way, he was the nephew of the Sigmund Freud. So this is where we're coming from. One of the cases that he established was he persuaded that smoking is actually good. Smoking is actually freedom. And he did it for Lucky Strike's sale of cigarette, where he said that, okay, women are forbidden to smoke, and he persuaded women to smoke and walk in the New York Easter Parade. And people saw it, and they saw it as a revolution, and they saw it as a good thing. So he basically persuaded the whole world that smoking is okay, that smoking is good. And smoking for women is actually not as bad for their health. There was no talk about it, but it's good for their freedom, their rights. Two-way symmetrical. This is a fourth model of public relations, and this model is considered to practiced in the end of the 20th century and well in the 21st century as well. It uses communication to negotiate the public, to resolve conflict, to promote mutual understanding, to respect. Organization has to respect the public. We have to have respect between the organization and the publics. It has balanced effects. So it does research, and does substantial research on the audience, on the public, but it does so not only influence the public, but also change itself. It wants to help the society to become better, to become fully functioning. So the society, the public, and the organization, they both change. And key figures over here, there are numerous of them. The Groening itself, who wrote this historical perspective on public relations, are the educators. We're going to talk about them in the next theories that we're going to discuss. So we've talked about four models of public relations: press agentry, public information, two-way asymmetrical, and two-way symmetrical. Right? Two models, one-way communication, and two models are two-way communication. We talked about historical perspective on it. So, right, we talked the centuries where it was practiced. But when we looked at the today contemporary practice of public relations, we will also see those models. For example, press agentry. Well, show business uses it. Sports and theater, they use all kind of hoax, all kind of big events, something that maybe hadn't happened, but they want to grasp your attention. All kind of divorces and stuff like that. This is all press agentry model. Public information, government, non-profit, business organizations, they all use it. Well, this is basically saying truth. Right? They publish, we did that, we did that, we did that, and we're going to do that, we're going to do that, we're going to do that. We received your money, and this is what we have spent it for. So that's public information, just telling you the truth what happened. Two-way asymmetrical, competitive business uses it. All kind of clothing businesses uses it, right? They're not really changing. Well, they see the trends, but they really want to influence you. They see, okay, you like cars, good cars, you like to be cool, so this is how I'm going to position my business. Or you like comfort, this is how I'm going to position my business. Two-way symmetrical, business and non-profit, they also use it. And really, Fortune 500 companies, they tend to use two-way symmetrical model. This is when organization changes, right, with the publics. They do research, they ask public's opinion, and they help publics to be better. They help them to solve their problem, one that publics have in their life, in their daily life.